Good day, friends, and welcome back to our today's class. In today's tutorial, you are going to learn how best to simplify radicals that are involving variables. In our previous tutorial, we looked at how to simplify those ones that involve numbers. Kindly do well to check on them. The link I will leave in the comment for further studies. Now, before we go into answering this, let's quickly look at the basics, okay? This is for perfect square. And when you have this, it means that when you have x squared, it means that x squared will go in once. That's why we have x here. Then when you have x to the fourth power, it means that the square goes in 2 times. If you remember your rule of indices, x to the power of m to the power of n. You usually multiply the powers to give you x to the power of mn. So if you multiply 2 and 2, it gives you back 4. So when you have x to the 6th power, it means that the 2 will go in 3 times. And also this. Then do same in the cubes. If you have x cubed, it means that it goes in once. If it's to the 6th power, the cube goes in 2 times. And so many of them. Then for the 4th power, the same thing. When you have x to the 4th, it means that this goes in once. That's why we're only having 1 x here. If it's to the 8th power, it goes in twice. So this is going to be our guide. Now, to answer this question, I'm going to show you the 2 ways you can do that, okay? You can choose your convenience. Now, join me as we do this together. So to answer this, we take the first one. We have square root of x to the 7th. This is square root. Remember, square root means that there's an invisible 2 here. So what you do now is, you are going to check how many times will these 2 go into 7. That's when you divide 7 by 2. What do you have? You will notice you are going to have 3 to remain 1. Okay, it means that this square will go into this 3 times if you still watch this. So in that case, look at what you are going to have. You are going to have this. Then we have x squared. You multiply another x squared, multiply another x squared. Remember we said it will go in 3 times. You see it? Then 1 will be remaining. So you have x to the power of 1. Did you see how simple that is? If you use your rule of indices, which we've already introduced, you will still notice that in this case now, you notice here we are multiplying. So if we're applying another rule of indices, which says if you have a to the power of m multiply a to the power of n, you add their powers. You see, when you have something like this, add the power. Now let's check. We are going to add the powers. So we have 2 plus 2 plus 2 will give us 6. And 6 plus 1 will give us 7. So you see we are still correct. Okay, in this case now you're going to, because it's square, if you watch, when it's square, it goes in once. So for this it to go in once, you bring it out. This it to go in once, you bring it out. This you have x. This cannot be simplified. It will remain in the square roots. Did you see that? So if you multiply this now, it will give you x cubed square root of x. And that is the first method. I hope this was clear. Now let's take care of the second method. For the second method, what do we have? Let's adjust this and do it fair. Please, let's adjust this. So we have x, x, and x. Then we have this to give us s cubed square root of x. Okay, now if we are going by the second method, watch what you will do. You have square root of x to the 7th power. So what do? You will now say, because remember here is 2, we don't usually put that 2, but you know it's 2. Our introductory video explained that, so you can watch out for that. So what you also say is 2 goes into 7 3 times. So if it goes into 7 3 times, according to these perfect squares, 3 times, you are going to bring out that 3 times it goes in from the root, because it shows it's perfect. If it's perfect, it will go in without a remainder. Did you get it? So it will go in 3 times without a remainder. So that's why we brought out x to the third power. Then 1 will be remaining. And that one that will be remaining, you will leave it in the root. So this is your answer. And this one is our method 2. Now to answer this second one, we are going to use the shortest method, which is method 2. Okay? So in that case, we are going to ask ourselves, 3 will go into 20 how many times? If you check here, the nearest one is this. So 3 will go into 26 times, or you can simply do 20 divided by 3 will give you 6. That means it will go in 6 times, remaining 2. So we're going to have x to the 6th power. This is the perfect. So you are going to bring it out from the root. Then this one that is remaining is one that will still remain in the root. So we're going to have x to the 6th. Then we have cube root of x to the power of 2. And that gives us your answer. I hope this was well understood. So this is your answer for this number 2. Now let's quickly go into number 3. But remember, if you are still new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe for more. You have a lot to benefit. Let's know your thoughts about what we're doing in the comment. Give this tutorial a thumbs up and also share with your friends. If you are ready, let's go into the last question. And in that last question, what do we have? We are going to also use the shortest method to have 4th root of y to the power of 100. So what do you do? If you divide 100 by 4, it will give you 25. There is no remainder. So it means this 25 is the perfect. So if it is the perfect, it should be outside that root. So in this case, we are going to have y to the 25th, and this is our answer. I hope you learned a lot. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more. Share your thoughts with us in the comments. It is always our mirror. Remember, you can also follow, and I will see you in our next class. Till then, bye-bye.